from understanding of the architecture of identity now. Okay, plus because you all have an IAM background, so I don't need to make you understand what is IAM domain and everything. So we'll start directly from identity now and how it is different from other IAM solutions like IIQ and other on-prem solutions which you might have worked on. And the architecture behind it, what are the various components which we will discuss, like virtual appliance, is there connectors, microservices. Then we'll also discuss on application onboarding, like how to onboard application into SailPoint Identity now using the connectors which are available to us. And going forward, so this is a 7 days course, but since we are doing 1 hour basis, right? So it will be expanded to much more. So once we understand the components, then we'll discuss about the application onboarding, how to onboard application, what are the configurations. I think you might have worked also like correlation, manager correlation, and you can say what is authoritative, what is target applications, how to onboard them, what is the difference between them, and how to onboard two different kind of applications. For example, let's take an HR-based application and one application which is target-based. So after going through all this, we will then further go into some other applications like AD, Okta, okay, web services, how to onboard them, and what are the various ways of managing the roles, access profiles, and entitlements. So we'll build an access model and also an data model. So both we will try to build once we have completed these two things. After doing the onboarding, the data model and access model, we'll further move on to the next topics, which is certification. Okay. So certification will again, what kind of certifications we can do inside Entity Now, and what are the various methods of creating certification campaigns, reports, and also we'll discuss a bit on the policies, where SOD policies, general policies, how to configure into SailPoint and where we can use that. We'll discuss about that. We'll also go a bit on the, let's take application request center workflows, which we have in SailPoint, how to use that, and how we can create workflows using various components present inside SailPoint. That we'll discuss. And I think further we have something called the API sections. So in identity now, I think you have to work mostly with the APIs, because from the front end, you also can do a lot of things. But if you want to work as a developer, mostly you have to depend on the APIs section. So we'll discuss in detail about the API, and then we'll move on to a section called transforms, rules, and PowerShell scripts. So this is also important section because you will be working mostly on this part, transforms, if you're working as a developer. So how we can create transforms and what are the various kinds, what are the various kind of rules, how we can write them, how we can deploy them, methods and all that we'll discuss. And finally, some PowerShell scripts information, how we can write PowerShells and use it into SailPoint. So all those things we'll discuss as a part of this particular course. So this is about the idea and architecture, if you all can see, right? So in identity now, I think you all have been working with IIQ and other tools which are mostly on-prem. So have you got any chance on working any SaaS-based solution? I think someone told, right? Kiran, I told Okta. You have worked with Okta, right? I think Gaurav had
Yeah,
told, right? You have worked with Okta, right? So
yes,
Okta
I
is
worked a
also,
little bit Octo. I
yeah.
also worked on CyberArk and Thycotic, which are also
Mm,
on-premise as well as
mm,
on the cloud. I worked
okay.
on both sides.
Yeah. So in that architecture, right? I'm not sure about how they are projecting the architecture. So Entity Now, if you see, this is a SaaS-based solution. So
Mhm.
for SailPoint, when they started with the IAQ solution. Okay, that was their main focus. I think last 10 years they have been doing this IAQ. But since last 3 to 4 or 5 years, I would say they are building on this Identity Now tool, which is a SaaS-based. So you working as software as a service. And what they are doing is that they are readily giving you build tenants. Like in Okta, you might have, if you're working, then you might have got tenant directly from the your partner, that is Okta. So based on certain requirements, let's take for example number of users and your facilities which you want, or the features which you want to get enabled. Based on that, they will spin up a tenant for you and grant it to you based on your requirement. So if you can see over here, we have around six tenants. It's just an example. So all the tenants basically reside on, you can say, an availability zone. So they have so these sale point system have around seven availability zone all over the world. Okay. And based on the availability zone which you select, you will get your tenant from there, which will be pointing to that zone. Now, in that availability zone, you may have lots of tenants, okay, from other companies also, which other companies are using. And these tenants are basically sharing the same zone. Okay. So maybe one tenant is there with 1 lakh user, other tenant is there with 10,000 user. So all tenants reside in the same zone, and based upon the number of users or the amount you are paying, they have a fairness algorithm through which you are getting the services. So services means what all features, if you can see in the left hand right hand side, right? Like logging, monitoring, alerting, scalability, search capability, password management, certification, provisioning, access request, SODs, and feature capability. So all these things are there, which basically you can achieve through this tenants. Okay. So it is just like if you take an example, like if you're taking staying in an apartment, right? So you have lots of features, like you can say you have gym, swimming pool, etc., and you are paying per month some maintenance and all. So that is the same thing. You are paying per user a certain amount of license, and you are getting these features. Now there are some basic features which every tenant gets. Like for example, if you have taken a tenant, you have some basic features, but there are some advanced features also. For that, maybe the pricing model increases on the basis of the feature you select. Okay. So
So,
any
so
questions here?
yeah, normally in organization, right, you have different environments like dev, IT,
Hmm.
UAT, and production, right? How it is differentiated if you come across the tenant architecture?
Yeah, so I'm coming to that. It is in further slides. So if you talk
Okay.
about the number of environments, like so one environment represent one tenant. Okay. So maybe if it is a production environment, there will be one tenant for production, one for sandbox, okay, and one for dev.
Okay.
So going forward, as I mentioned, there are seven availability zones of SailPoint ID now. So then some in US East and US West. Then there is in Canada, London, Germany, and the right hand side Asia Pacific. We have in Tokyo and Sydney. So they're also continuously building on these zones. So either of your tenants will be pointing to any of these zones. Okay. So if you're, can you go on mute? Maybe my voice is echoing because of that. So maybe whatever country you are selecting, suppose you are from US, right? Your company is from US, so they can select the nearest availability zone, which is nearer to you, because the more nearer it is, the better it is for you for your connectivity and all. But sometimes what happens is that some companies have some laws and regulations that I cannot have a data center in this country and all. So based on that, you can select other countries as well. But what SailPoint basically suggests is that you take the nearest availability zone which is available, so that the support is also continuous. Because anyways, if you take this solution, your work as a support personnel is very limited, because you don't have control in the entire database. Neither do you have the control on the architecture. Architecture, I mean, like the back end of process, whatever is going on, right? Any jobs which is running, you don't have any control on those. So, and also you don't have control where it is deployed. So all the control is in SailPoint hand. What you have is just a basic control and some other features which we'll discuss going forward. So that is the reason you also, whenever you take this kind of, let's take this services, right? You get professional support services from SailPoint. So in any problem which happens, which you think you are not able to fix, or it is not under your control, then you can raise a service ticket with them, and they will they can get back to you. Also, you can grant access to the tenants to them with the help of some configuration, and they can see the issue and then can resolve according to that. So on the basis of availability of the tenant, it is what SailPoint suggests is that they have 99.99% availability. There will be no downtime according to their SLA and all whenever you do the agreement with them.
So which cloud they are using? Is it in private
I
clouds
think they are
and
using
public cloud?
UTC clock. Is it?
UPC, you are saying?
Yeah. So you can change the zone. Okay, so you can change the clock time zone, whichever you want. You think there is the configuration, so you can change that. But mostly, what they do is they follow the UTC time zone.
No, my question is, because this is a SaaS application, so which cloud they are using? The AWS,
Okay, which
is the GCP,
cloud
or
they are using? Okay,
yeah,
so
yes.
that knowledge, see, they are saying that they're using AWS. Okay, mostly they use
Okay.
AWS,
Mhm.
but exactly what all systems they use, that information we also don't have. So maybe they have some information in their site. We have to explore that.
Okay. Okay.
And it is their private cloud. We don't have any control on that cloud.
Mhm. Okay.
Now coming to the various environments which we have, right? So here, if you see, as I mentioned, by default, when you buy a tenant, means when you purchase a license for a particular tenant, you get a production and in free you get a sandbox. Means you're not paying for that. So let's take you have 10,000 users for your organization and you are buying a tenant for that to manage your identities, contractors plus employees. So they will give you a production tenant plus they will also give you a sandbox tenant that is without any specific charge, where you can do the testing and everything and your logic implementation and then moving it to the production. But on the basis of features, definitely the production is a highly scalable plus monitored, you can say, and load balancing and everything is handled properly there. But in case of sandbox, you will see that though it is also an environment, but it is not properly monitored and the scaling, you cannot do a very large amount of scale test and all. That's what they say. But yeah, if you
So
want
if I
ID,
have, yeah, if I have like 80,000 users, how they will configure that high scalability means they will add more tenants or more nodes. How they will do that scaling?
no, so they will not add more tenants. Okay, so they have their own algorithm. Okay, so whenever they will spin up the tenant, they will add more resources to your tenant. Memory utilization, you can say. So if you see in the backend of SailPoint, all the services basically run through microservice. Okay,
Mhm.
so there they will increase your memory and everything. So that is why whenever you take a tenant, you have to completely tell them the number of users you are taking it for. So based on that, based upon the algorithm, they will allocate memory and everything to your tenant so that you are also getting and sharing the same resources, right? Like other tenants are there. So same resources you also sharing. But how much you will share and all that depends upon your number of users.
Okay. Okay. Means you are saying that if it is 80,000 users or 10,000 users, they will give one tenant and they will
Hmm.
not disclose how much memory they are setting or how much CPU they're setting. They will not disclose that information.
No, they will not disclose that. They will. They have their algorithm, which they have shared there. In the, I think I can share it. A link with you. You have to log in with your Atlassian account, and you can see that. But they will not
Okay.
disclose that what is the exact maybe and all. That I'm not
Okay.
sure if they disclose yet.
All right. No worries. Yeah.
So apart from the two environments, if certain, let's take for example, if you need any additional environments, okay, some companies need environment, third environment. So then in that case, you can ask them. So they will spin up one more environment for you, maybe a dev environment, and based on that, you can do your uh, dev configuration if you need apart from two. So by default, it gives two, and apart from two, if you need, you have to pay more for that. Now coming to the URL section. So this section is also important from your perspective of let's take examination also. Sometimes if you're giving the exam purpose, so they may ask this kind of questions also. So if you take the tenant, so they will provide URLs to you that through what URL you can log in and you can do the various activities. Now let's take for example that your client is going for a default domain. So they don't want to have their own domains. They are comfortable with the domain identitynow.com. So in that case, SailPoint will manage everything. Okay. And then they will create tenant for you. Like for example, the name of your company is Acme. Okay. They will create two tenants. One is Acme dot idn.com and one other one is Acme slash SB, that is sandbox, and idn.com. Okay. So these two they will create and give it to you. But if you want vanity URL, because sometimes companies say that no, my solution should be according to my domain. So let's take my company is acme.com. So the solutions URL also should be acme.com only. So you make it that way. So in that case, you have to send, or means they will basically create a CA certs, okay, certificates they will generate from their side, which you have to digitally sign with your certificate authority, so that that domain can be given to you. So that kind of URL is called vanity URL. So if you are going for vanity URL, then definitely they will give you certificates, CA certificates, and then you have to digitally sign that and then give it back to them, which they will upload in their Cloudflare solution. And then you can get this tenant according to your requirement. That is your domain, your name, and everything. But another thing is that suppose you are taking a tenant and you're, let's take, you are getting the domain name and everything you have done, either approach 1 or approach 2. But tomorrow, let's say a company is getting divided and it is one company is this means divided and they are shifting everything. So in that case, right? So redeploying or means changing the domain name according, or maybe some company name has got changed. So suddenly naming changes and all those things is not supported by default. It is not that very easy that you, okay, one day you have your name this and suddenly your name changes and you want to change the name everywhere. So that is not possible. If you have to change names, then you have to reorganize everything. Means you have to create a new tenant altogether and migrate everything from the old one. So there you will need SailPoint support also, apart from your developers. SailPoint will be required to move all those things. So that is the reason whenever you're taking any name, so you should be uh, properly think and just tell that whatever name you want, and based upon that, your tenant will be created.